She covered her aunt's shift as a cleaner at a luxury hotel, and was mistaken for a guest by a millionaire CEO. The elevator doors were closing when she realized she was holding the wrong keycard, and that the man watching her from inside the mirrored cabin was about to change her life in ways she could never undo. Her heart thudded as the doors slid shut, trapping them together, 30 floors above the city, while a single lie balanced on her tongue and the truth pressed painfully against her ribs. She hadn't planned to be there. She had planned to say no. But when her aunt's voice cracked on the phone at dawn, coughing between words, begging someone, anyone, to cover her shift just for one day, she pulled on borrowed gloves and a uniform that didn't quite fit and stepped into the marble lobby of the most expensive hotel in the city. The kind of place where the chandeliers glittered like frozen fireworks and the carpet swallowed your footsteps whole. She told herself it was just a few hours. Clean, smile, don't be noticed, leave. That was the plan. The problem with plans is that life enjoys tearing them apart. She moved quietly, methodically, pushing her cart past rooms that smelled of polished wood and wealth. In one suite, she paused at the window, stunned by the view, glass towers catching the morning light, the river like a ribbon of steel. For a moment, she forgot the ache in her wrists and the fear that she didn't belong. For a moment, she felt like a guest in her own life. That was when the door opened. He stood there, tall, composed, dressed in effortless luxury, surprise flickering across his face as he took her in. She froze, clutching a folded towel, her mind racing. She expected annoyance. Or suspicion. Instead, he smiled politely and stepped aside. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't realize the suite was occupied. The front desk must have made a mistake." The words hit her like cold water. Occupied. Suite. Mistake. He thought she belonged there. She could have corrected him. She should have. But the moment stretched, fragile and dangerous, and something in his eyes, tired, guarded, lonely, made her hesitate. So she nodded, a small, uncertain gesture that felt like stepping off a cliff. "No problem," she said softly. From that instant, everything spiraled. He introduced himself with a first name only, asked if she was enjoying her stay, offered to have breakfast sent up. She answered carefully, half-truths stitched together with nerves, each sentence a tightrope. She told herself it would end soon. That he'd leave. That she'd clean and disappear back into the world where people like her didn't ride private elevators. But fate, relentless and curious, had other ideas. They met again by accident, or so it seemed, near the rooftop garden. He was there early, coffee untouched, staring out at the city like it owed him answers. She was there because a supervisor sent her to wipe down the benches. When he saw her, his face lit up with genuine relief, as if the day had been waiting for her to begin. They talked. About the city. About how hotels felt like beautiful cages. About how loneliness didn't care how much money you had. She listened more than she spoke, absorbing the weight behind his words. He wasn't just wealthy. He was responsible, for thousands of employees, for a legacy he hadn't asked for expectations that pressed on him until sleep came in fragments. He didn't know she scrubbed bathrooms for a living. She didn't know he was the CEO whose name glowed across financial headlines. They were simply two tired souls sharing quiet truths in a garden above the noise. The closer they grew, the heavier her secret became. Guilt gnawed at her. Each smile felt borrowed. Each laugh, stolen. When he invited her to dinner, she nearly refused. When he said he'd like to know her beyond the hotel, her chest tightened with fear and longing in equal measure. The truth surfaced violently. It happened in the lobby, under the watchful eyes of security and staff. Her aunt, pale but stubborn, arrived to apologize to management for missing work. She spotted her niece instantly, in borrowed elegance, standing beside a man whose presence commanded the room. Confusion turned to horror as recognition dawned. "Why are you dressed like that?" her aunt asked, voice trembling. The CEO turned. Recognition flashed in his eyes, not of her, but of the uniform beneath the coat she wore. The lie unraveled in seconds. Murmurs rippled. Her cheeks burned as the world narrowed to the pounding of her heart. She didn't defend herself. She didn't beg. She simply told the truth. About covering a shift. About being mistaken. About not correcting him because she was afraid, and because, for once, she wanted to be seen without judgment. Silence followed. Heavy. Unforgiving. Then he spoke, his voice steady but changed. He dismissed the crowd with a glance and asked her to walk with him. Every step felt like a verdict. At the doors, he stopped. "You should have told me," he said. "I know," she replied. "And I'm sorry. For all of it." She expected anger. She deserved it. What she didn't expect was understanding. He confessed his own assumptions, his blindness to the people who kept his world running. He admitted how easily he'd placed her into a box because it was comfortable. They parted without promises. Without certainty. Just a shared acknowledgement that something real had happened, and that real things demand courage. Months passed. Life resumed its rhythm. She returned to work, enrolled in night classes, carried the memory like a quiet flame. She didn't expect to see him again. The invitation arrived on a rainy afternoon. A simple card. No logos. No titles. Just a request to meet. She almost didn't go. The room was smaller this time. Honest. He was different too, less polished, more present. He told her about the changes he'd made. Fair wages. Training programs. Seeing people, truly seeing them. He told her she'd shaken something loose in him that couldn't be ignored. She told him she'd found her voice. That she no longer wanted to be invisible. They didn't fall into a perfect ending. They chose a real one. Slow. Uneven. Built on truth. And as she walked out into the rain, not as a cleaner or a guest but simply as herself, she understood the lesson she would carry forever, that dignity isn't granted by wealth or status, but claimed by honesty, and that sometimes, the most powerful transformations begin with a mistake, and the courage to face what it reveals.